The COVID-19 epidemic has forced most of us inside for the foreseeable future, and that means that us tabletop gamers have had to move our games to the digital world. The most positive thing to come out of this is that a lot of people have discovered that there's a ton of great resources online for D&D players. But there's one site that really surprised me with how great of a tool it was for D&D. And unlike Roll20 or D&D Beyond, it was not designed with D&D in mind. I'm talking about Pinterest. Kinda surprising, because when most people think of Pinterest, they imagine moms sharing inspirational quotes or recipes, though I do admit to having a recipe board. But don't let its association with moms and grannies deter you. It is an incredible resource for creatives and one of my primary sources of inspiration. So today I'll be explaining how I use Pinterest for my D&D games and other tabletop adventures. First, we'll talk about the anatomy of Pinterest. So here's the rundown. Pinterest is made up of a series of images or links. Each one of these is individually known as a pin. A pin can really be anything that can be linked to and has an image associated with it, whether that be character art or set dressing or props, or a link to an animation. Pins are then pinned onto boards. Boards are the bread and butter of organizing your pins and fill my Virgo brain with endless joy. You can make a board for anything. Your favorite fandom, or a genre, or even one of your own projects. And on top of that, you can add additional sections to a board, which, the organization. For my RPG boards, I kind of have two different flavors. Well, not counting the terrain building boards, which I also have. The two types are character boards and campaign boards. My character boards are more for general inspo for all my games. I have an extensive board for fantasy races, 3 boards for different class archetypes, and 1 for villains. God, I love me some bad guys. Oh yeah, and 2 more for NPCs and monsters. And everything that I just mentioned, I also have all that for sci-fi too. Cause aesthetics are important, man. As for my campaign boards, I have 6 for 1 campaign. I promise this is good for my mental health. I also have 5 more for games that I DM'd or played in previously. I separate most of my campaign boards into settings and NPCs that would inhabit that setting. You're free to organize your boards however you like, and that's part of the fun. I've been at this for a minute now, and I've worked out how to best organize things for my own personal use. So start a board and start pinning. Once you've got a sizable board is when the real fun begins. Because what is D&D without rolling the dice? One of my favorite things to do with my boards is to generate random characters. These unsuspecting images have allowed me to create characters that are now iconic to me, whether that be a PC of my own or a brand new NPC to spice up my games. Here's how I do it. I hop over to my 3 class boards, which are Martial, Caster, and Thief archetypes, and I rolled a d3. From there, you can choose to keep rolling for a more specific class, or just use that general theme for inspiration. And then I move to my race board, and oh boy, that's when things get wild. I roll a d38 to determine a random race. These abstractly sided dice can easily be rolled with a dice roller online that lets you make custom dice, or a random number generator will also suffice. Now, of course you could do all this with just random tables created for your own game in a text document, but the fun for me comes from finding a race and class combo and looking at all these random images that I've collected to jog inspiration. Now I want to tell you about the most exciting part of this to me, because Pinterest single-handedly birthed the inspiration for my current campaign setting. I like to take these random dice rolls a bit further sometimes by randomly generating a few characters, maybe 3 or 4, and trying to build a world from those randomly generated characters. It's a fun exercise and spawned a few different campaign ideas. While most of those are sitting in a Google Drive folder collecting dust, one of these turned into what is now my favorite campaign that I've ever run. I rolled up a Triton monk, a Dragonborn rogue, and a tiefling half-orc wizard. So I took a look at all these characters and thought, where'd they come from, and how is that going to inform the world that I'm building? The Triton monk established that there was some sort of Triton empire, and the wizard was maybe from some underground spellcasting faction. But when the players entered the game, these two kind of fell to the wayside, and probably are unlikely to appear at all in the campaign. But one became Ignatius Femok. This band of characters I just described to you was supposed to be a hypothetical party, and Ignatius was meant to be a powerful politician. And after an assassination attempt on his life, he joins the other two for a plan to help him escape the city. And then I thought, escape the city. The image of an Eberron-esque cityscape took shape, massive towers of stained glass reflecting passing steam zeppelins high in the sky. I took that one image and ran with it. The game has changed significantly, as it always does once you add player characters to the mix. A PC is going to shine a magnifying glass on parts of the world that you didn't expect them to, and cast others in shadow. That's entirely fine. Ignatius still became a key NPC. An attempt on his life was part of the catalyst for their adventures, but the shape it took changed and adapted with the PC's interests. This world and game have brought me so much joy, and it's all thanks to an admittedly clunky website that's just brimming with creative potential. Hopefully this video's given you a little insight on my creative process and how Pinterest is an integral part of that. So I've got a link to my own Pinterest account in the description so that you can see examples of what I just talked about, or even use them for your own dice rolls. Give me a follow on there if you like, and check out my boards if you plan to start your own. There's really no shame in aggressively adding pins from someone else's board. How do you think my race board got so big? I've kind of been spitballing with different topics here, so if you have an idea for an RPG topic you'd like me to explore, let me know, and I'll look into it. My next plan is to make a video about exploring the aesthetics of the different D&D classes, but let me know if there's something else you'd like to see. Otherwise, keep an eye out.